Hi everyone, this is Karen from Karen Paul Studio. I'm really excited about this week's webinar because I've been receiving some really great questions from many of you out there, and I really find that these questions really show me exactly what you're struggling with, and some of you have the most amazing questions. And so we're going to continue to have webinars and just do some Q&As along these lines. I just want you to know that no question is stupid. I find it really intriguing to see where you guys are coming from. So please go ahead and send them in, and send them in often. So the first one that I have is a great question, and it comes from Savannah from Nevada, California, and I love this question. So she wanted to know, how do I know where to start in my painting? And I just thought that that was a superb question, because so often you look at that white piece of paper and you're going, oh my gosh, I really want to do a wonderful painting, but I really don't know quite where to jump in. So one of the ways that I would answer that is to say, you want to sometimes start with what is the easiest and then work your way into the painting. That can be one strategy that I find is really helpful. But I'm going to be switching the cameras over in just a minute, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a way that you can work on a painting that I think will help you be very successful. So as you know, most of you know, with watercolor you want to start with the sort of the lightest value. You want to do a wash that's very pale, because we work from light through to much darker colors. So with that first wash, we can cover the paper with different washes of very pale color, because the trick in that is you can always build up darker colors over the top, and that way you kind of kill that white, you know, that can almost be so intimidating on the page, and just begin to, you know, put a bit of a light wash that's an indication of the flow and the direction that you want to go in the painting. So painting, of course, is such a visual thing, and I can tell you all these great things, but it's going to be so much better when you see me do it. So we're going to switch the cameras over here in just a minute, and I'm going to show you the process. So in this segment, I was going to talk to you about how to start a painting. And right in front of me, I actually have the photo reference that I'm going to be working from with this particular painting. And I think it's a lot easier for me to show you where to start when we look at a photograph rather than looking at a live setup. So we're going to go with photo reference for today. And what I like to do in the beginning is really squint my eyes so they can go ahead and see where the lightest parts of the painting are. And there's a really strong light that is striking these two beautiful roses here. These are these wonderful English roses. And so particularly on this white rose here, there's a amount of white light that is striking right here. There's also some light here on top of the table, and then we also see some very light highlights on top of this pink rose. So we want to first of all determine where is the lightest part of the painting, and also where our darkest darks are. And we can see that in the background here. If you squint your eyes down, it's pretty dark in these crevices and all throughout the back here. So that's going to be pretty easy to go ahead and determine that. So I'm going to go ahead now and just show you what I've done with the painting to start out with, and talk you through this here. So I'm working on a really large piece of watercolor paper today. And so I've gone ahead and just done a quick pencil drawing, and wherever we see those really light parts of the painting, I've used some masking fluid to go ahead and protect those whites. And what that is going to do is, when we go ahead now and start actually working on the painting, it means that I don't have to worry about painting around them, but I can have a lot of spontaneity and freedom with going ahead and getting started on those initial washes. And remember, with masking fluid, it protects the paper. You want to go ahead and put this down and make sure it dries thoroughly before you start actually putting your washes down. And when those washes are dry and you're ready, then you can go ahead and lift up the masking fluid, and it will preserve those white areas. So this is a great opportunity for you to go ahead and use a nice big brush. I have a size 8, but you know, if you want to use a larger brush up to size 16 or 18, this is a perfect opportunity. And so I have my photo reference right in front of me, and I'm basically going to look for some undertones. And this is a pink rose, and you can see that I'm using very, very pale blue. This is cobalt blue, and look how light and watery that is. And this part of the rose is in shadow, so it's going to have kind of a bluish tinge to the pink. So that is why we're going ahead and just putting down a little bit of blue. Now I'll show you what I'm going to do with this red rose over here. Once again, I'm going to use some of my alizarin crimson with just a little bit of cobalt blue, kind of a purpley red. But this is so pale, I can really just start, you know, putting down some of that color very spontaneously and loosely in this area right here, because we know we can come back and go much darker and be more detailed. And this is why I love starting paintings. Now, a lot of times I hear from students that they're really afraid to make that first brush stroke because, you know, it's a piece of white paper, you want to make sure you do everything right. But really, you can totally feel full freedom to go ahead and get some color down on your paper, because you are going to come back with subsequent layers. And right in here, there's some beautiful yellowish greens. The light is striking where some of these leaves are. And I'm just really working loosely around here. Okay, just getting some of that beautiful color down. And once again, you can see how I'm working with a yellowish green. Now, yellow green, you can also go much darker with even a bluish green over the top of that, and it'll totally cover up that color. So you really don't even have to be too picky about what shade of color that you're using at this particular stage in the painting. Okay, so now I'm going to start getting a little bit of ultramarine blue, which is one of our primaries. And I'm laying down some of this blue because a lot of these green leaves that are in the background here are very dark. They're in shadow, and keep in mind that whenever anything's in shadow, it normally has more of a cool bluish tinge to it. So we can definitely go ahead and work some deeper greens over the top, but this is a good underlayer just to get some of those primaries. Anything that's kind of yellow, red, blue, and of course we do have some green because we have so much green foliage going on there. And just see how much freedom you really do have to just allow this color to really blend and to merge with other colors, because you're not worrying about getting everything really exact. You're going to build up layers over the top of this. So, and also, I'll show you what I'm going to do here for where there's the table that this roses are sitting on, and I'm just putting some ultramarine blue because we have a lot of shadows underneath the roses. Okay, and this particular rose is my favorite. This is the one that is the focal point, and I'm going to go ahead and just paint some magenta. This is quinacridone magenta, and very, very pale. And also over here, this is another petal that's just emerging on the outside of that beautiful rose, and using some clear water on the edge because I really do want some of these colors to run in together. It's okay if things bleed and merge. Remember that if you feel like the paint is starting to go somewhere where you didn't intend, you can always go ahead and use your paper towel to lift it out. For instance, in this one area over here, I started putting green, and this was where her rose was. So I didn't have to worry. All I have to do is just go ahead and, you know, lift it out with a paper towel a couple of times, go back in with the pink, no worries. Okay, so that's about all I'm going to do for a first layer, is just get some initial color down and really just cover my whole painting. I've already preserved the whites, so I don't have to worry about that because I have some of my masking fluid. You can see where it's starting to bead up over here. That's because the masking fluid is protecting the painting. Remember, with masking fluid, it's something that you are going to remove at the stage of the painting where you want to start working on those white highlights, so that won't be for a little while yet. So this is one way to start a painting, and isn't this fun and easy? So I hope you'll experiment with using the light washes to start with and building up subsequent layers, because it really gives you a lot of freedom when you're painting in watercolor.